Now during the crossover step, we really have two main aims. One is to arrive ready for delivery in our standing throw position. The other is to maintain our speed from the linear approach so that we can impart that speed into our javelin delivery. Now during the crossover step, we really have two main aims. One is to arrive ready for delivery in our standing throw position. The other is to maintain our speed from the linear approach so that we can impart that speed into our javelin delivery. So to start with, we want to be as close to our standing throw position as we can throughout the crossovers, and that means having our wide stance, the javelin in a nice high position, and that slight split of our legs ready to throw. So from here, we want to be able to maintain that speed, which means we need to be as close as possible to running mechanics in our crossovers. Now, that means what we need is active foot contacts under the hips and a nice upright posture in our crossovers. So from this position, we're going to be in a standing throw feet positions, and we're going to pull the front leg under the hips. The rear leg's going to step in front of the body through to what looks like almost a high knee position, and from here we can strike back under the hips again. So we have this pulling of the front leg, stepping through with the rear leg and striking back under the hips. Now to make this nice and stable, we're going to rotate our hand in so we have our little finger on top of the javelin. Remember, that's going to lock that javelin into place on our eyebrow. So now we have a stability in our javelin throw. And we're also going to find some stiffness in our contacts that creates that stability through our trunk and stability through our movement. So as we're coming in, pulling with our front leg and driving the rear leg through, we're going to have that hand rotated in to create stiffness through our trunk, and we're going to have stiffness in our feet contacts to help control the movement. Now, of course, one of the fundamentals of javelin was that we want to have the longest possible pull on the javelin when we come to delivery. So to do that in our standing throw, we took our weight over our back leg, and we want to do exactly the same in our javelin crossover steps. We want to always maintain our weight on the rear leg, and we pull with the front leg, and we come back to that balanced position over our rear leg. And that's going to keep our range in the throw all the way up to our delivery. Now, to create extra range, what we want to do is run the rear leg through ahead of the body, and we do that by turning our foot to 2 o'clock position. This gives us a bit more freedom in the hip and allows us to get that javelin throwing hand even further away from our lower body. So when we come into our block, we have this long straight line from our foot all the way through to our throwing hand. Now, because of this, we often see our younger javelin throwers kicking the rear leg hard, but we'll see how that causes us to rotate and lean backwards in our crossovers. So then we're losing momentum on the runway, but also we're losing our javelin tip up in the air. So actually, if we want to have a rhythm on the runway, we need to have equal action between our front leg and our rear leg. So although we're running this rear leg forwards in the crossover, we need to be reaching with that front leg and having a reach and pull action that's going to help to pull that rear leg through. So actually, most of the javelin crossover comes from this reaching and pulling of the front leg, and we'll see as we pull how it helps to bring the rear leg through to that almost high knee position and 2 o'clock foot position we're looking for. So if we want to have a rhythm on the runway, we're looking to have our weight on the rear leg, actively pull the front leg and run that rear foot back to the front. So at this point we have our javelin nice and high at the back and locked in place by rotating our hand in. We have our weight on the rear leg. We're looking over our left shoulder to keep that balance with our upper body. And then we have this active reach and pull with the front leg, and we're running the rear leg through in that 2 o'clock position. Now, if we want to transfer this into the actual delivery, we need to make sure that we arrive keeping this range of movement and keeping this momentum into the throw. And for that, we need to keep a rhythm in our crossovers. So it's not about working hard and kicking hard, It's about creating that stiffness in our contact and about doing our crossovers with a nice rhythm which allows us to move easily into our standing throw position, ready to throw.